today. Today we have a great guest with us who's going to join us from Live Action, which if you're at all familiar with the pro-life movement, you're probably familiar with Live Action. We're really excited to have him on today. We're going to bring him on now. His name is AJ Hurley, and he's the Director of Activism for Live Action. So welcome, AJ. So excited to have you on the show.
Hey, so good to be here. Thanks so much, Merdine, for having me. And it's a pleasure to be with you guys. We love Family Policy Council. And so we're just super stoked to work with you guys. So.
Well, we love what Live Action is doing too, and I know we're going to get into that a little bit today. But I know in your position, we said you're Director of Activism, so you probably interact with people on who have all kinds of perspectives on the abortion issue, and I think it's become such a hot topic. I mean, abortion's always been a hot topic, but abortion's become especially such a hot topic since Roe was overturned last summer, and so I'd love to get your sense, just from your work, of where Americans are really at on this issue right now.
Yeah, good question. I was at the overturning of Roe, and I think, there's cultural moments we saw back during the Gosnell kind of trial a long time ago when late-term abortion was kind of in the forefront. We saw a negative kind of perspective with overall Americans in reference to abortion. And now with Roe being overturned, of course, you're going to see the opposite and people being outraged, and just the collective outrage, I think, can cause an uptick in anti-abortion, abortion sentiment across the nation. I think a recent Gallup poll was like 55% of Americans were now shown as pro-choice. So we have work to do, I think. But the beauty of when you actually show what's in the womb is people change the mind about abortion. And we can get into a lot of that. Live Action is doing great work to expose really this abortion is. And this issue is just so shrouded in euphemisms and lies and propaganda. And I think when people really understand and see the reality of what's in the womb, and ironically, that's something that our opposition seeks to really prevent, is what the reality of what this issue really is, what abortion really is, and the beauty of what's in the womb. I think our research shows, not only the research we've done, but then also anecdotal research of just showing people the beauty of what's in the womb with a lot of our content. People change their minds. And so I'm encouraged, actually, with a lot of this, what's going on. I'm actually encouraged and about the future. And if I wasn't, man, I don't think I could do this every day. But when people really see what's in the womb, I think they change their minds on abortion. So
you really think that that's one of the big keys then, is that people can, and I assume you mean visually, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about your Baby Olivia project in a minute here, but they can physically see what's in the womb, that actually has the power to change hearts and minds. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Sure. Yeah. Like, there's an old saying that if wombs had windows, this would be, wouldn't be an issue anymore. And so I think, there's a good deal of truth to that when you see the reality and specifically the beauty of what's in the womb. And not only that, but when you actually hear the stories of women who have been totally traumatized by abortion, America needs to hear those voices too. There's a lot of people who have just propagandized this whole issue on the other side, from cultural leaders to celebrities to there's just so many lies, and it's just very unpopular to talk about abortion and the grim reality of what it is. And when people hear honest stories about that, it gives abortion the true face of what it really is. It's just both devastating to the lives of children and then also to the women that have abortions. So
yeah, and exposing, not only sharing those stories, but exposing what is actually happening to women and what is actually happening to children in the womb is so much of what live action is and what you all do. A lot of our audience is probably familiar with live action, but for those who aren't, I'd actually love for you to just share a little bit of the origin story of live action, how this got started, when and where, because I think it's a really amazing and an encouraging story.
Yeah, totally. I love this question. So Lila Rose is our fearless leader. Lila started this organization actually in her parents' living room when she was 15 years old, back in 2003. So it's been, wow, this is 20 years now, I guess, which is pretty amazing. Now it's 2023. Wow. At 15 years old, she started this, the live action in her living room with some friends, just around the kitchen table, trying to figure out how can we expose what abortion is to the community, to my friends. And then she never imagined how successful it would be. And now live action is just, almost 2 billion all-time views on our stuff. It's the largest digital pro-life movement in the country. But 2008, I think, is when we officially had a 501c3 and started live action. And Lila went undercover at UCLA. So she attended UCLA for her undergraduate and then started live action going undercover. As 18, she looked a lot younger, and she would pose as like a 15-year-old, 16-year-old girl going undercover, exposing abortion, the abortion industry, Planned Parenthood specifically. And man, from sex trafficking to underage sex trafficking to infanticide, I mean, really did incredible work exposing the true face of abortion and how they will go at no lengths to make money and to exploit women. And so, yeah, it's an amazing journey. I recently joined not too long ago, so I can't speak authoritatively from a historical perspective, but yeah, that's kind of a little bit of how live action is started. And now, yeah, I think we're reaching upwards of 100 million people per month with videos of live actions produced incredible content, interactive videos and abortion stories and live action exclusives, which is Lila's own podcast interviewing personalities and Congress politicians and people who've had abortions. So yeah, live action's been at it for a long time, and we continue to create a culture of life and to really expose the grim reality of abortion.
Well, that's so incredible. And I love a couple of things about that story in particular and why I wanted you to share it. One is I think right now, just in this post-Roe world, we are, of course, seeing states that are, these deep blue, liberal, pro-abortion states are passing just radical pro-abortion measures, even as a lot of the country is doing a lot of good pro-life work. And I think for members of our audience who are stuck in a state like a California or New York or other states like that around the country, they may be left wondering, is there anything good that can come out of my state? Is there anything I can do? And I think that just the origin story of live action coming out of California from a 15-year-old girl is just such a testament to what the Lord can do with just one willing person, even in kind of a hostile environment. So I think that's an incredible story. And just to see what it's turned into now and the amazing work that you all are doing. I'd love to get into a little bit of that work. Actually, we've been alluding to Baby Olivia throughout this conversation. I want to pause our conversation for just a second here and actually show our audience this video, and then we'll come back and talk about it a little bit. So let's show them that video now.
This is Olivia. Though she has yet to greet the outside world, she has already completed an amazing journey. This is the moment that life begins. A new human being has come into existence. At fertilization, her gender, ethnicity, hair color, eye color, and countless traits are already determined. She begins to implant in the uterus about 1 week after fertilization. Her cells organize into what we call an embryo. At 3 weeks and 1 day, just 22 days after fertilization, Olivia's heartbeat can be detected. The buds of her arms and legs appear by 4 weeks. She begins to move between 5 and 6 weeks with both spontaneous and reflexive movements. At 6 weeks from fertilization, her brain activity can be recorded and bone formation begins. She can bring her hands together at 7.5 weeks, and separate fingers and toes emerge. She can also begin to hiccup. At the beginning of the 9th week, Olivia will have grown from a single cell into nearly 1 billion cells, and she is now called a fetus. She will suck her thumb and swallow, grasp an object, touch her face, sigh and stretch. At 11 weeks, she is playing in the womb, moving her body and exploring her environment. Her taste bud cells have matured by week 12 but are still scattered throughout her mouth. Her mother will first sense Olivia's movements between 14 and 18 weeks, an event called quickening. Beginning at 18 weeks, ultrasounds show speaking movements in her voice box. Around 20 weeks, with a lot of help, babies have survived outside the womb. At 27 weeks, her eyes are responding to light. She can recognize her parents' voices and will even recognize lullabies and stories. Olivia has gone on an amazing journey during these last 9 months. She will soon signal to her mother that it is time for delivery and greet the outside world.
Okay, so AJ, tell us about this video. Tell us about how it came to be and how you all are using it to change hearts and minds now.
Yeah, one thing I love about our videos is we not only, not as is in just, in my opinion, humble opinion, just amazing, state of the art type of technology to bring the reality and the beauty of what's in the womb, but then also, I think this is it's so important. So I just to give you a little bit of my background. So I came from California also, and I started actually as a respiratory therapist, never thinking I would work in a NICU or a PICU, the PICU, pediatric ICU. And I started my pro-life career not outside on the streets, but actually in the halls of a hospital and taking care of little children and putting little babies on the ventilator. And I'm looking at 21, 22, 23 week-old children that we're putting on these respirators in order to get them to survive, putting all our time and effort. I worked at UCLA Medical Center, putting all our time and effort into these little children. And then across the way, in the OBGYN, and the OB floor, they're literally dismembering children, or at across the way in the abortion area of the hospital at 24 weeks. And now with California, as you spoke, up to the day of birth, now that Prop 1 is passed. And so what I love about the Baby Olivia videos is they could see, can now see what's in the womb, what I saw the privilege of seeing in the hospital every day, that the average American has no ability to see. is the beauty and the majesty, the utter incredible gift that life is. And so the Baby Olivia video really captures, I think, the heart of that, the beauty of not only the scientific reality of life, but the beauty of it. And the other thing I wanted to kind of get to was the fact that in all of our content, we interrupt me if I'm talking too long here. Sometimes I get a little long-winded.
No, you're good.
What we do, but you know, like our Baby Olivia video in general, in particular, some of the leading scientists, OBGYNs, medical personnel. I mean, we had Michelle Cretella from the American College of Pediatrics or pediatricians review and really several like leading bioethicists and cell biologists and OBGYNs, people from Charlotte Lozier Institute and some of the nation's leading medical institutions view all of this and have an integral process of the actual construction of these videos to make sure everything was utterly scientifically accurate, but as well as totally beautiful and depicting the true reality of the beauty of life in the womb. So that's one thing I love about the Baby Olivia video. And one thing that we are just announced and what just passed is North Dakota. Not only
I saw this. I wanted to ask you about this. So I'm so glad you're going there. This is amazing news.
North Dakota actually passed a law, Senate House Bill 1265. And it was nicknamed the Baby Olivia video. And the Senator Jane Murdahl, she saw this video and she was just like, wow, everybody needs to see this video. And she actually passed a law that basically mandates that the preborn human development in the womb, a high definition, medically accurate video is shown in the school systems so that, you know, people, you know, in our high schools should be mandated to actually see what's in the womb. And if the other side, like Planned Parenthood, is in the school systems and are, you know, educating them on and providing access to abortion, we're not going to show the beauty of what's in the womb. And so this is one thing that is just North Dakota, man, you guys are leading the way in this wonderful legislation that accurately depicts what's in the womb. And now every child, every you know, student is going to see this. So.
Well, that's just outstanding. And I mean, anyone can see why. I'm so glad you shared your personal story too, because I think that's really powerful. That here you are in one wing of the hospital trying to save a baby who's 21, 22, 23, 24 weeks old. And on the other end of the hospital, people are dismembering a baby of that exact same age. That's shocking, but really, I think with something like Baby Olivia, people can see this is the kind of baby we're talking about. This is the age we're talking about. So I think there's something really powerful there. I think something we don't talk about, or we in the pro-life movement maybe talk about, but the greater public isn't aware enough of, is that a lot of abortions actually are not late-term surgical abortions. You know, certainly there are these radical laws that are allowing those to take place, and that's tragic. But a lot of abortions, especially these days, are chemical abortions. And that's actually, you know, it's a woman just takes two pills and one kills her baby, one expels it. And people don't realize this. I know this is something that you all have been really educating around and pushing back on, though. So could you talk a little bit about those efforts?
Yeah, totally. Well, first of all, I think, you know, when you see the Baby Olivia video, you know, you can see the beauty of what's in the womb, even from its early stages, right? So part of that is just educating people. Hey, most women don't know if you've missed your first period, your baby's heart is already beating. And so they're totally misinformed and miseducated. So I think part of the obviously the gruesome nature of late term abortion is nobody likes to talk about late term abortion. And so this is why these abortion pills have become so popular, because, oh, it's a pill, it's not a surgery. I'm not, doing the barbaric action of pulling arms and legs off. It's somehow believed to be more humane if we just starve a child to death in the womb by chemicals. And so I think there's a few things that I think needs to be done to really do work in this area. One, obviously, to show the beauty of life in the womb, even from its earliest stages. One thing that's so beautiful is at the moment of conception that this magical thing, the spark, literally, and they've caught this on film. There's a spark that happens at the moment of conception, and we Christians know that because Jesus says he's the light of the world, and he brings light into shines light out of the darkness. So it's kind of cool, this parallels between the beginning of the existence of the universe and the beauty and the beginning of this explosion of light in the beginning of the universe and the explosion of life in the beginning of life, and how really what the science of embryology really parallels what the biblical story is for us Christians. But I think showing the beauty of the baby, even in its earliest stages, is what needs to be seen. But then what's been instrumental, I think, is showing these women who've had chemical abortions to tell their stories. So one thing I really want to talk about is our new project, I Saw My Baby. So I Saw My Baby is a new, it's a project that we've been working on, that in our first video is just out. So if you go to YouTube, in our YouTube channel, you can go to look at our video, I Saw My Baby. And it's the stories of women, the heartbreaking stories of women telling their story about their chemical abortion story, and that this isn't just a blob of cells. This isn't a blob of tissue. This isn't healthcare. It's not these cute little euphemisms that we like to describe abortion in, and the other side likes to cloud this issue in. But these women are seeing their children, and they're saying, it looks like a baby. This is a baby. I saw my baby. And before they're flushing their children down into the sewers below the very streets that our other born children are playing on, they're seeing the full reality of what they've done, and the deep regret and the deep shame that has come about that's been caused from the abortion industry. Is shown for what it really is. And so I not only think we need to show the beauty of what's in the womb, but also we need to expose the grim, horrible, grisly reality of what chemical abortion and the devastation in the stories of these women that are told. The last thing I think is just challenging people to think logically. If late-term abortion is wrong, then what's changed? The only thing that's changed is just development, and the size and the development of the child. So it's, just the logic of thinking, a toddler is less developed than me. I'm not less valuable, or that child is not less valuable because it's smaller or less developed. So why would we think that just because a child is less developed in the first trimester, that it's less gruesome or less wrong to kill a baby or in its early stages? So those are the three things that I would say that really needs to be driven home in the heart of this issue for us to win.
That's so powerful, AJ. and very important, I think. And I know that you all have been speaking out to in light of, for those in our audience who don't know, the FDA over time has made it easier and easier to get access to abortion pills, and including you can order them by mail now, and even now local pharmacies could become abortion pill dispensers. And of course, there's lawsuits going on about this, and we have some friends at ADF who are doing some incredible work. But right now, that's still the present reality. So I'd love to give you just a second to talk about how you've been pushing back on that, AJ.
Yeah, sure. So this is this is really what's heating up right now in the culture war, is this issue. As you know, a federal judge in Texas, Judge Kaczmarek, ruled that this pill was illegally approved by the FDA back into the year 2000. I don't want to bore you with a lot of the history of that, but basically the original approval process was denied because they said it was not safe and effective. And then a few months later, they pushed this through in an emergency authorization originally designed for things like AIDS epidemic and like pandemics. So that's how this pill got approved. And then unfortunately, this was almost immediately challenged. APLOG, I think, was one of the organizations that challenged the approval of this. But Judge Kaczmarek, in his own words, so the question is now is like, why is this finally in 2023 coming through to the federal courts? And Kaczmarek's response to that was that the FDA stonewalled judicial review for about 16 years when they were required to respond within like 180 days. And so I in my opinion, I think what we're seeing is a very politicized FDA that is really hell-bent on pushing abortion pills through the market, shoving it down ramrodding it through the FDA process and then shoving it down the throats of women. We've seen them time after time, 2016, and then again in 2020 and 21, relaxing the safety standards. In 2016, instead of hearing the judicial review of this challenge to FDA approval, they just in the same time relaxed a lot of the safety standards that they had in place. Originally, this was only approved to 7 weeks. They extended it to 10. They eliminated the need for only doctors to prescribe this pill, which is just horrifying. They used to have to only have this pill in over the course of 3 days to be monitored. They completely eliminated that down to 1 day. And then 2020, they basically made this, even the in-person dispensing, completely eliminated that. By the way, you used to have to had an ultrasound to check, do you have an ectopic pregnancy? And they eliminated the need for that even also. So this, along the way, we're just seeing an increasingly politicized, radicalized federal government with zero to little oversight. And it's resulted in 5.4, 5.5, 5.6 million children. Now half the babies in our country are being killed by abortion and chemical abortion. And so that's horrifying. And then we're also seeing, 28 women now, they're saying one source says had been associated with the death of 28 women, 28 mothers who've taken this pill with countless. One source says 6% of the women who take this pill end up in some type of emergency care. Very dangerous pill. We need to be exposing this. These are a lot of things that we're doing to put pressure on not only the big pharma, but then also on a lot of the these pharmacies now that are getting on board to potentially even distribute this abortion pill in every street corner. So time's high for us to get involved, I think. And
yes, it is. And for our audience, just like a couple resources for you if you're wanting to engage on this. You can visit our action center, and there's a place you can actually send a message to a pharmacy and just let them know what you think about this issue. The other resource for you, if you're interested in the legal aspect of this and what's going on with the lawsuit, we did an interview with Alliance Defending Freedom and a blog a couple weeks ago. We'll put that link in the comments, and you can check that one out there. But wow, AJ, thanks. I think you did just a great job summarizing that, and sharing really how horrific this pill regimen is, and people don't even realize it. So I always like to conclude with some encouragement for our audience, and I think we've been talking a lot throughout this episode about educating the public, about what we can do to change hearts and minds. So maybe in light of that, what is your encouragement for someone who's listening to this and says, I just want to just change one person's mind, or I just want to make a dent in the conversation? What's your encouragement to them?
That's good. I would say a few things. First of all, I mean, it's amazing how many people change their minds about abortion when they see our content and they see videos about it. So the number one thing I would say is share the Baby Olivia video. If you go to babyolivia.liveaction.org, that has about our Baby Olivia video, has all the people that have medical experts that have reviewed it, and has just that video you saw, the state of our art kind of interactive, narrated animation video that incredibly changes minds about abortion. If you want to get involved with becoming like either a digital kind of activist, sharing our content and getting involved with an online force, like say you don't have time to get involved in boots on the ground. You don't have time to go on a rally or, start a pro-life group, and you're maybe just a wonderful soccer mom, you wanting to do something, you can get a hold of us. We have a digital advocacy program as you're raising your children, you can get involved and do digital activism as a pro-life activist just by using the benefit of technology and social media. So we have our ambassadors program you can get involved with, that I actually oversee, our digital ambassadors program. You can do that. Or if you want to do more stuff, say you want to get involved and be more of the in-person kind of boots on the ground activism, get a hold of me. I am the Director of Activism now at Live Action. So I'll put you to work, and you can go to liveaction.org and really get resources, get educated, and share the content. We have amazing news at Live Action News, some of the best content around to expose the lies and create a culture of life.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for coming on, AJ, just for everything you've shared here. I think there's a lot we've unpacked here, a lot of lessons for how we can change hearts and minds. And for those of you watching, yes, do get involved with Live Action. Do check out their videos. Do go and share that Baby Olivia video. I think it is just so powerful. If you're watching this and you want to learn more about Family Policy Alliance, we'll have the links in the captions. Be sure to follow us. And if you can, share this video. The reality is that the social media companies don't like us. They don't like pro-life content, and they will do everything they can to suppress it. So the only way to get messages like this one out and to get AJ's message out there is actually to hit share. So if you can hit the share button, like and comment, that'll help make sure that more people see this. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast platform as well, where you can get audio versions of all of these interviews and listen to them on the go. Again, I'm Meridian Baldacci. I'm Director of Strategy at Family Policy Alliance, and we'll see you next time.